that is being used as a replacement for animal therapy in nursing homes, which is really kind of awesome.
So she built planets on Earth, you guys.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our very special program, Shades of Black, an Evening with Zakiyyah. I am James Monroe. Yes, give her a hand. I am James Monroe. I'm the producer of adult programs and theater experiences here at the Museum of Science. And I am so honored to be introducing this incredible group of artists led by the incomparable Zakiyyah. And I'm also thrilled to be here tonight in front of a live in-person audience. Finally, we are limited, but we are enthusiastic, and we are fully masked, we are socially distanced, and we are a safe enough distance from our performers on stage. We are also live streaming tonight out to a virtual audience who are watching via YouTube. So a huge hello to our digital audience. Thank you for your patience with us. Whether you are here on site with us or watching from home, we're really excited that you're spending your Wednesday with us. Now, tonight marks about a year since we first reached out to Zakiyyah about collaborating to see if she would agree to collaborate with us, and it's been such an honor to be a part of this process and see her bring tonight to life. And this evening, through performance and conversation, Zakiyyah will amplify the call for cultural institutions to decolonize themselves, and will examine the roles that museums play in ending systemic racism. And the way that we're setting this up is that to start, we'll kick it off with a 30-minute live performance from Zakiyyah that she created specifically for all of you tonight. And then immediately we'll go into a conversation where Zakiyyah will be joined on stage by our friend, culture columnist, and creator of A Beautiful Resistance for the Boston Globe, Jeneé Osterheldt. So yes, let's give her a hand too. And there's so much to get into, and I know you're tired of me, but just a few more things. Tonight is just a part of our current fall subspace season of adult programming. We have an incredible lineup of events and experiences every week, either virtually or on site, now through December. So I encourage you to go check out that full lineup and grab your tickets for all of those by checking out our website at mos.org/adults. And if you want to learn more about Zakiyyah and all of our performers tonight, you can do so by scanning our Shades of Black virtual program. For those guests on site, you can do so by scanning the QR code on the signage outside of the theater, and those with us virtually can do so by scanning the QR code that'll pop up on your screen later on in the broadcast. Also later on in the broadcast, Zakiyyah will be taking some of your questions. So if you have a question for her, you can submit that at any time right now by pulling out your smartphones and going to slido.com and entering the code Zakiyyah, just as it appears on the screen above me and on your screen at home. And Jeneé and Zakiyyah will get through as many of those a little bit later on as we can. And finally, I need to thank our friends at Science Sandbox, which is an initiative of the Simons Foundation for making tonight possible and for their ongoing support of the adult programming. So a huge thank you to all of our friends at Science Sandbox. But now it's my honor to turn it over and bring and welcome out to the stage with a very special performance, the one and only Zakiyyah.
It seems like only yesterday I was introducing you to my world of hip-hopera, performing for you live, bringing you to your feet, sharing my artistry, and getting to know who you are. Even performing at the UN. Until
now to growing concerns about the deadly coronavirus officially hitting the UN.
COVID-19 has battered the global economy. This will have consequences far beyond cancelled holiday bookings. It could exacerbate existing inequalities, create economic hardship.
it's been a rough season for all of us. But my silence never meant I was done. So I continued to work, using the silence and the stillness of the time to my advantage. I'm sorry it's been so long since we've seen each other, but I'm hoping this will be a worthy reunion. And I'm so excited to give you a taste of what I've been working on. You deserve to make up for lost time, to experience moments, big and small, that make you feel alive and make life worth living. Here's to hoping I can create one of those moments for you today. Because truth is, I need it too. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Hey, dear, where was your house?
Love, Zakiyyah.
Wow, these exhibits are pretty cool, huh?
Wow, Mom, look.
Ooh, these ladies look pretty cool. Wonder where they're from. Let's look at the description. These ancient African artifacts were discovered in various parts of the West African coast, although their exact locations of origin are unknown. They were brought to the Museum of Us in the 1600s and have been a part of numerous exhibits within the franchise ever since. They don't seem to know where they're from.
Attention visitors, the museum is now closing. Please head for the exit.
Let's stay until they come alive. They'll tell us where they came from, like the night of the museum.
Oh, honey, that's just a movie. Besides, the museum's closing, so we should... Did they just move?
I knew it.
Okay, they're moving. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
See you later, statue.
All right, okay, let's go.
Hey, y'all. My name is Zakiyyah, and I'm an ancient African artifact. Ancient as an experienced, not through. And I want to tell y'all a little story about how I got here. See, I was in the motherland, minding my black business. Just finished being carved by this fine artist, Mansa Musa. And all that carving made me tired, and I needed my beauty sleep. So I took it, and when I woke up, I was in a glass compartment. Turns out I had been stolen by the Museum of Us. See, the Museum of Us is a collective of museums all around the country, and I've been to a few. You got the Museum of Microaggressions, the Museum of Fragility, the Museum of Appropriation, locals call it the Kardashian Club, and the Museum of Entitlement, AKA Karen's Den. Now, they're all crazy, but some are a little crazier than others. There was this one museum, this museum was something different. See, at this museum, if you were an ancient African artifact, you could be put front and center for everyone to see and adore if you gave up your right to self-ownership. No more complaining that you've been stolen and whatnot. And I know a few who did, but little did they know that time was short-lived. So they tried to see what they could do to stay in that spot longer. Owners said, cuter poses, put on a show for them. And they did, all trying to get in that token spot as if Sarah Bartman was living the good life. And all that time, the price to stay in that spot became higher and higher till they went right back to the part of the museum they came from. See, funny things happen when you chase validation instead of purpose. Feel free to move with me on this one. Hey, here we go. She's got money. She's got more cars than she can drive. No more bummy. Walked out the hood and said goodbye, bye, bye, honey. They said when she would not comply, back to crummy. Turns out her power was a lie. Before you say you made it, let's be clear, you've understood. You've not achieved a thing if you're the only one who's good. Before you say you made it, let's be clear, you've understood. You've not achieved a thing. I hope y'all are listening to the words. Listen. Sing. All of them really want big, big stuff. They want big, big stuff, but what them want them can't touch. All of them really want big, big stuff. They want big, big stuff, but what them want them can't touch. All of them really want big, big stuff. They want big, big stuff. Y'all not moving enough for me, but all right. All of them really want big, big stuff. They want big, big stuff, but what them want them can't touch. Leader, concerned with what his people need. Liar, his interests lie in what he can be. Eager, he stands above the highest of trees, watching the roots decaying underneath. Y'all hear that? Let's be clear, you've understood. You've not achieved a thing if you're the only one who's good. Before you say you made it, let's be clear, you've understood. You've not achieved a thing if validation's how you stood. Sing. All of them really want big, big stuff. They want big, big stuff, but what them want them can't touch. All of them really want big, big stuff. They want big, big stuff, but what them want them can't touch. All of them really want big, big stuff. They want big, big stuff, but what them want them can't touch. All of them really want big, big stuff. They want big, big stuff, but what them want them can't touch. What is advancement to a group of solo souls? What is a table full of seeds you don't control? What is a chief that steers his tribe under his feet? They all want to be one of the people. They want to be above the people. Ouest. There was another ancient African artifact. No one quite knew what she was saying because she spoke French, but we knew she didn't want to be there. And she was so sad. She was clearly missing someone, her family, someone. I still remember the sad song that she sang. And she didn't stop crying. Now you'd think that would be a hint for the museum people to send her back where she came from. But instead, they saw an opportunity to exploit her trauma, putting her front and center at an exhibit at the Museum of Black Trauma, with an exhibit description reading, "Grieving mother mourns after the brutal consequences of tribal war." A war which, of course, did not include her family or her tribe. Her truth and her trauma was just another price to pay to keep the Museum of Us afloat. Adieu, notre petite table qui nous réunit si souvent. Adieu, adieu, notre petite table si grande pour nous cependant. On tient, c'est inimaginable, si peu de place on se sera. Adieu, notre petite table. Oh, même vérité le nôtre, chacun de nous quand il buvait, y cherchait les lèvres de l'autre. Oh, pauvre ami, comme il m'aimait. Adieu, notre petite Everyone has their wake-up call, and I remember mine. One day I stood in my usual pose, onlookers walking by, some commenting on my ethnic dress and features. But then there was this one boy. He walked up to me like he recognized me. And that's when he leaned into the mirror, and I heard him say in his native tongue, "I see you." My heart nearly dropped. Here was someone finally recognizing me as a valuable carved by the Mansa Musa, and not just an object for exploitation. But then I heard a voice. "Hey, what are you doing? Get away from that exhibit." He was too enamored to look away, so excited to finally see some semblance of home. It's like he wanted to touch me, take me back with him. And then I heard an officer say on his little walkie-talkie, "There's a boy here messing with the exhibits. We need someone down here." I stood there, confused, trapped, enraged, watching this young boy being dragged away, punished for remembering his culture, his history, for finally seeing me as a valuable carved by, y'all haven't been paying attention, the Mansa Musa. And what I saw that day changed something in me forever.
There he is right there. Cut him off. Hey, you, get over here. Get over here.
Man, I ain't do nothing.
All units respond. Where you think you're going?
I swear I'm just mind my business, man.
Proceed with caution.
And the ones we brought to life soon became orphans. A black White House created in amnesia, but even the wokest under luring anesthesia. And we've always got a threat to our development, cause some of these supremacists are out here wearing melody. We giving accolades to people too fit to forgive and wonder why they keep challenging our basic right to live. All these years still dreaming, MLK. All these tears and ain't one bill been paid. How many cheeks turn before you're just a pushover? How long before the chance to turn things around is over? Much respect to King, but now we need to understand we can't afford to dream this time. We really need a plan. Only a fool placates to the morality of people who have yet to face their own innate brutality. And if we really wanted liberty as a reality, we wouldn't ask permission to protect our own vitality. Rise, 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 repeat. Rise, 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 repeat. Rise, 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 repeat. Imagine having a stranger stab you in the back, knife all twisted up to leave a trail of blood to track. Then the next day, they invite you out to eat, acting like ain't nothing happened, nice and planted, nice and deep. I can't think of any fucking thing more insulting, besides the people who sit down to eat and feel exalted. Thick lips, big back, fit for just a savage. Fast forward, white girls buying they the baddest. We could have taken up arms, but didn't take a look, cause while the shit went down, our heads were stuck inside a book, praying to a God who saw the chains and turned away. Much like the people he's protected up until this day. Could have had our own Wakanda and built a nation, but we chose integration, begging for be the token. Narcissism is rewarded by the cultures of the broken. A smile on a black face is revolutionary, but a smile that remains conscious is luminary. So be angry, but never let them steal your joy. Be peaceful, but prepared to deploy. Don't mistake the words that I'm saying in the song. We can still win, but can't repeat what we did wrong. It's not a sorry regret, it's a call to action to put excuses down and finally make our visions happen. Keep challenging our basic right to live. Cause some of these supremacists are out here wearing melanin. Narcissism is rewarded by the cultures of the broken. We can still win. It's a call to action. Make no mistake about it that God will handle your enemies. God said, love thy enemies as you love yourself. Can I get an amen? This young man may be gone today, but tomorrow we will see justice. This young man died in a tragic way, but I believe that God has a plan. I just want justice for my son.
On the ground now. Let me go. Get on the ground.
He never bothered nobody.
Hold him down.
He was a good kid.
He's resisting. Come on, that hurt.
But I have to forgive them for what they done.
Hold him down.
Because they gonna have to live with that for the rest of their life.
I can't breathe.
Suspect down. Request EMT immediately.
What we saw that day, us artifacts, it enraged us all. And from that day on, we decided we would take matters into our own hands and move differently. From this day forward, we were going to create our own narratives, be seen in our own fabulous light. And from there, in owning our truth, we discovered a form of radical activism that no one could dare take away from us: Black joy.
As we go a little something like this, hit it!
your ears consume this opera mixed with rap. It's hip-hopera. It's hip-hopera. It's hip-hopera.
This is where I need you to stand up if you're able. Come on.
It's hip-hopera.
No, I'm not number one, but I'm in my own category. The perfect blend of evident and allegory. The perfect supplement to this triumphant story of black renaissance and its ascent to glory. Academics like to call it double consciousness. I call it melanin-induced confidence. I call it representing every consonant and making sure those asleep are not cognizant. Not really a rapper, but limits don't occur to me. Graduated first, Rip Shop University. They're trying to figure out which box to put me in. I told them pick anyone and I'll make it bend. Whether in the ghetto or at the symphony, I carry my naps like wives carry Tiffany. They call it inappropriate, I call it history. Making black as legit as Becky's sanctity. This for my people that's work but still read. This for my posse that's bright but smoke. This for them eyes too limited to see. That black is just as Michelle as Cardi B. That black is just as Lupita as it is me. That black never gets in with the keys. That before we can grow we must receive. All the forms we're blessed to conceive. Let me hear you. Let your tongue form the smooth sounds of ebonics. And when they ask why, tell them that your culture's chronic. Sicker than the flu, but even better yet iconic. Unlike the people trying to copy it. How ironic. If ethnic ain't professional enough for the corporate, don't assimilate, instead readjust the orbit. Put your fro in the center of it and absorb it. And come wash, they throw that ish in the toilet. And yes, justice, realize, recognize that Negro-wise. For respectability, politics aside. And replace it with the strong stride of black pride. As your ears consume this opera mixed with rap, know what the world is lacking and it fills the gap. Now grab your neighbor's hand and join in as we make a pact to never let our wish to fit and compromise our black. Never. I know my history is excellence personified, and if I do embrace it, then that greatness will be promised. I promise not to let go of the people who forget it. Mission. Sinks into the floor. I know black was made to think. Oh Lord, I done forgot the words. Y'all got the message. When I say hip, y'all say opera. Hip. When I say hip, y'all say opera. Hip.
As your ears consume this opera mixed with rap.
Well, that's the end of the story. Tomorrow we get together to strategize. I hope you'll be there, because we can't have change without you.
The museum is now open. Please do not touch the exhibits.
And we go a little something like this. Hit it.
Well, yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed that portion. You've heard hip-hopera for the last year, so hopefully you can fill in the missing part. I want to take this moment to first of all thank the Museum of Science for supporting my artistry and offering me this platform. And now I want to take a second to thank my beautiful dancers. On my right here, we have Miss Zakiyyah Flint. On my left, we have Miss Ebony Walcott. And I want to take a second to thank my wonderful project manager who helped put all the pieces together for me to make sure everything was flowing right. Miss Aura Tavares. Everybody, give it up for Zakiyyah.
Hey. Let's give it up again for Zakiyyah. And Ebony and Sakina. Museum of Science, y'all looking real good tonight. Black people, y'all looking real moisturized tonight. You know, we don't show up nowhere ashy. Let me hear what Black Joy sound like. Yes. I'm Jeneé Osterheldt, Boston Globe culture columnist and resident troublemaker or joy pusher, depending on the day. Thank you, James and Museum of Science, for inviting me to be in conversation tonight with the incomparable and amazing Zakiyyah. Tonight's show is so important for so many reasons, and it aligns with me. I created a beautiful resistance for the Boston Globe, which celebrates Black joy and Black lives. I invite all of you to join us on Instagram at A Beautiful Resistance. Come to thebostonglobe.com/A Beautiful Resistance. Season 2 is coming in the next few weeks. Tonight, Zakiyyah and I are going to be talking about Black joy, talking about Black women, talking about holding these institutions accountable and decolonizing these spaces. It's amazing what happens when we all come into a room like this. It's been a long time, to everyone's point earlier, since we've been able to be together in fellowship, in communion, as those of us who come from the Black church might say. So I just want to take a second and just really show gratitude for all of you for being here and for the work that Zakiyyah is doing and for the space the museum is holding and correcting a lot that's been done wrong. So give it up for yourselves. Are y'all ready to be in conversation? And you know to send your questions to slido.com. Enter code Zakiyyah, right? All right, do it now. It's right there behind us. We're going to get things going. Hey, beautiful.
Hey.
Let me get my iPad set up, because, you know, I can't ignore the audience questions if they come through. One more time for Zakiyyah. Sis, that was amazing.
Thank you.
You are so powerful, so thank you so much for being in conversation with me tonight. And you already know what I'm starting with. What makes your life a beautiful resistance?
My life is a beautiful resistance because I am me unapologetically in whatever space I'm in, whether that is an opera space where there are certain norms that I'm supposed to follow that say that my culture is illegitimate, whether I'm in a space that tells me that Blackness is supposed to look a specific way. I choose my own way, and I live in my truth. And for me, that is Black joy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you know, we all are capable of having joy, of resisting, of doing all of these things. But what do we mean when we say Black joy?
I think Black joy is us recognizing that we finally have the privilege, because a lot of people don't know what is a privilege, to create an existence, an identity for ourselves beyond the trauma and pain that we are told is supposed to center our identity.
Absolutely. It's about that permission. Like, I feel like we've been made to feel like to be Black is to struggle, to be Black is to be a burden. And the truth is, being Black is lit.
Okay.
Like, it's beautiful. Like,
y'all see this hair. Come on.
Right. You see all of this hair on this stage. Like, and yeah, you know, the history is the history, and part of that history is pain, and it is struggle, but that is not how you measure us. Our melanin shall not be measured by that. We are joy, we are beauty, we are strength, we are power.
Amen.
Tell me how that has informed the work you do, because, you know, some people will see you, to your point earlier, and be like, opera, you know, what's a Black girl doing opera, you know? And if she is doing opera, why don't she look like this or this? Or why isn't her hair pressed this way? Can you talk about making space for our stories in any genre, in any platform, and how joy informs it?
I think ironically, part of the struggles I had led to my joy, because growing up, I remember when I was first introduced to opera. Shout out to Miss Marilyn, I think she's here. Hey! My first voice teacher who introduced me to opera, working on that with her was very different than actually going in an institution where I was the minority and there were certain expectations about what I would sound like and what I would be like, and having to navigate that and realizing that a lot of the music I honestly couldn't relate to. Old white people, and this old white girl kills herself because her husband didn't want her, and this, and you know, all them stories, child, listen. And I'm like, I don't see myself here. And I think sometimes when you see that void, that's what propels you to fill it. And so I think for me, that's what was the main motivation behind hip-hopera. I didn't know at the time, when I was in high school, when I would hear my favorite songs on the radio, when I first started learning opera, I started remixing them. Booty, 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 rocking everywhere, rocking. I was remixing all, and at the time it was just fun. But that's where hip-hopera was born for me, and I didn't realize the beauty in what I was doing and what it would turn into. Yeah.
No, and it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. You know, and they don't show us Porgy and Bess the way they should. And
yes.
And Carmen was a moment, you know.
Carmen was a moment. Hello.
And now we have you being a moment. I have a lot of questions, but I also don't want to wait until the very end for audience questions, so I'm going to pull a couple because we have quite a few coming in. How do you show up in the community? Ask one of our audience members.
I show up in the community in different ways. I'm going to start off by bringing up my Arts Connect International community, who I believe is here somewhere. Yay! So Arts Connect International is an amazing organization that creates equity in and through the arts. And one of my primary roles with them is consulting with arts organizations to create more equity within those organizations, such as museums. And that's one thing that really I find rewarding. Another thing is just education and teaching through the youth, teaching about arts activism, and also singing, because, you know, why not? And also just being able to support local businesses, local artists. That's something I don't think people emphasize enough. Like, when we say support people of color, we don't just mean famous people who are already rich, y'all. We mean people out, your neighbor, your sister, your cousin, all those people, right? Yeah, I don't know if people want my whole, like, little resume, but
you don't have to get a whole resume, sis. But I do like that you brought up arts activism, and I know that's something you do. It's something we witnessed you do even tonight. One of my favorite people in this space that does arts activism is Sarah Lewis, who founded Vision and Justice. And the work you do is very much part of that legacy. And I think a lot about James Baldwin. You know, I'm a writer, so of course I think about James Baldwin.
Come on now.
And Mother Morrison, and you know, all of these great artists. I think of Gordon Parks, and just how we have used the arts throughout our entire existence to hold space for our humanity. And even, you know, not just through Black people, but even JFK. You know, if white people want us to talk in their terms, like JFK himself here in Massachusetts gave a speech about the role of the artist. JFK gave a speech about the role of the artist. Look it up.
Yeah.
But no, seriously, what is the role arts play in civil rights movements and justice work?
Arts are literally everything. I don't think people realize how influential the arts are on an individual level and on a societal level. Arts can persuade you without you knowing you're being persuaded. And I think that's what I love so much about it. It's like you get an opportunity to bring people into a different world and build empathy, healing, you know, social connection in a way that you can't in any other setting. I also think just on a societal level, artists collectively create social norms. Like what we see happening in music right now with, you know, a lot of women claiming their sexuality and things like that. People would never start being okay with that if, like, it was like politicians. Like, only the arts has the ability to transform society in that way. I hope that sums up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to veer off too far, but I do just want to give a shout out because I feel like women and sexuality in the arts and what we're seeing right now with Cardi and Meg and everybody. Sometimes we forget Lil' Kim and you know, Rolls Royce and Minnie and all of them who was talking they stuff and showing out before. So let's just remember the elders and aunties who came before us.
Got it going on. That's it. That's
right.
Yes.
I want the opera remix of that.
Okay, I got you.
That, you know. I can't. We kikiing now. That's what happened when you get Black women together on stage.
Exactly. Okay.
What is your earliest memory of storytelling? I mean, you're a singer, you're a dancer, you're a rapper, you know, all of these things, but at heart, you're a storyteller.
Yeah, I love stories.
You're a writer. So what is your earliest memory of storytelling?
I've never had that question. Oh, girl, you good. I have never had that question before, but now that I'm stopping to think about it, and it's going to make me emotional because I always get emotional when I talk about this person, I think it's my father. Because growing up, when he would teach me about history, first of all, he's a walking history book. He knows everything about everything. He always taught me through story. And I think, oh, you're going to make me cry. I think I learned through story that's how you connect to people, you know. So, yeah.
I'm giving Pixar a run for their money.
You sure are.
I love it. Your parents are here tonight, aren't they?
They sure are. Hi,
Stand,
parents.
everybody clap for the people who brought us Zakiyyah. Yes.
Stand up. Don't act shy now.
Get your flowers. Yes. Thank you. So you said, you know, your father taught you through story. He's a walking history book, and we're here tonight in the Museum of Science in this beautiful institution, and also an institution that we're holding accountable because almost all of the museums in our country have played a role in disassociating us from our narratives and creating access inequities. Tell me a little bit about what inspired tonight's performance and the ways in which we must reclaim our narratives and hold these museums accountable.
Well, I wanted to create a metaphor that touched on the larger role of Blackness with this country, but also on a micro level, the museum system in general and the role it has in relaying stories. And I think for museums in particular, it's such a heavy role because museums present as legitimate, objective sources, even though they're really not, right? But they present that way. And so when people come into that space, we kind of internalize everything as truth. And so I wanted to tell a story of also the museums, but also the artifacts literally that was Black people, like talking about seeing what's happening and feeling trapped like you don't know where to go, or talking about how certain people try to get ahead by aligning themselves with white supremacy culture, but yet they're not quite getting the end goal they think they're going to get. So that story was literally the story of us at the Museum of Us. That's both us as in us and United States.
Absolutely.
If you didn't catch that. Yeah.
What did you see when I know James was telling me that you toured the museum. What did you see when you were here?
I saw what's common with a lot of institutions, in that money talks, and unfortunately money is often the problem. To the extent that sometimes, and even with like other organizations, there might be a will to want to change, but this isn't in the budget, or these people are our donors and we got to do what they tell us to do, and they're rooted in white supremacy, so we have to be rooted in white supremacy, even they don't. But that's this never-ending cycle that permeates all throughout our major institutions, museums in particular. And it's something that we gotta let go of. We gotta, you gotta be willing to risk it all, Yeah.
How can not only museums be more proactive, but we be more proactive? Because something that I have noticed, especially because I do facilitate a lot of talks in museums and art galleries, is that sometimes our people are like, oh no, I don't go to those spaces, or those spaces aren't for me. And those spaces will continue to not be for us if we don't take space.
Yeah.
So take space, y'all. Like, seeing y'all here tonight,
take all the space.
Giving me so much joy. Take it.
Listen, I tell everybody, it's a lyric in my next song too, so don't nobody have more confidence than a mediocre white man, okay?
That part.
That's it. That's what you need to do.
Look, a mediocre white man demanding a raise and a new promotion that he didn't work for because he stole the idea from his Black female colleague.
Take the space. That's the theme. If you don't remember nothing else, take the space.
Take the space. But so, what do you say to that? What do you say is both our role as the community, but also the museum's role to start creating that?
And creating those spaces. Well, I think the most important thing is being able to meet people where they are. I feel like right now everybody's trying to create solutions in isolation. Like you have communities, like urban communities doing their things over here. There's like little pockets that never meet each other, never touch each other. And I think those type of collaborations are pivotal. And being able to have institutions like the Museum of Science collaborate with those other institutions automatically, unfortunately, because of the way power dynamics are set up, automatically gives them more legitimacy, which is what we need, right? And so I do think there are certainly people of color who are resistant to being in those spaces, but I also think for many people the invitation just isn't there. So come on, Museum of Science, y'all heard that?
Yep. Be more intentional.
Yeah.
All of the museums, all of the institutions have to be more intentional about inviting us in these spaces. Another thing about these spaces that I have found interesting, and I definitely want to know your experience as well, is, I have gone, and this hasn't happened here, James, so don't worry.
No, James is about that life.
He is about that life, just so y'all know. James is a G. James is like, read me. Tell me what's wrong. But this didn't happen here. This happened at an art gallery, and then it happened again at Radcliffe. But yeah, I'd be calling names. But I was asked to moderate a conversation just like tonight, and I showed up, and I had on like Jordan 11s and some joggers and a jean jacket because I show up as my whole self.
Okay.
And the person at the door was like, "What are you here for?" And I was like, "I'm the talent. Like, I'm moderating tonight's conversation." And she was like, "Oh, who are you?" And it was this whole, and this has happened to me more than once in these institutions. And it's always beyond me, one, as Zora Neale Hurston would say, how they would deny themselves the pleasure of knowing all of this.
Well.
But also just the idea that we should have to code switch or fit in a glass box or stand still ever so tightly or not lean too close to the glass just to be in the space.
Yes. Oh, you caught all the metaphors. Yes. Oh, yes. I like that. You should call them all. Okay.
I was with you. What are you doing when you show up in these spaces because I know like just us showing up changes things, just us being there changing things. But what has that experience been like for you?
I think going back to the arts has made me more courageous because when I'm in isolation and I'm writing my music, I don't care who I'm offending. I'm just like, I'm going to say what I need to say. And then I got to perform it in front of an audience. I'm like, oh, shit, I'm just remembering that line and that line and that line. Ooh, do I want to say that? But I got no choice because I wrote it. And so it kind of forces me to live in my truth because, like, some of these songs, like Rise, the one that everybody loved, I was angry as hell when I wrote that song. I was like, F everybody. Honestly, I don't even remember who died because there's been so many. But I wrote it right after, I think it might have been Philando Castile. I was angry, and then I was angry that black people were being applauded for a certain reaction. I was angry at everything. And so I wrote my feelings down, and you get on stage and you read it and you perform it and you're forced to live in your truth. And I think that has kind of translated over into other spaces. Yeah.
And that's why what you just said is why we can't code switch. We cannot be complicit in code switching anymore. It's hurting us. It's hurting us, and it's empowering these spaces to deny us from our truths and from who we fully are. But I want to lean in. I know I'm all about the joy, but I want to lean into the rage real quick. Especially as Black women, it's like we are always tone policed. And like you said, you were mad. And I'm a columnist, and I don't know how many of you have read my column, but it's angry sometimes. And, you know, I remember last summer I was on MSNBC, and it was right after like a quadruple, you know, it'd been like weeks and weeks of multiple murders. Breonna Taylor, it was just like, it went on and on and on. And they called me on TV to talk, and the lady said my name wrong. And I was like, actually, my name is Jeneé. And we had an interview, it was great, but my phone blew up for 3 hours because I corrected this white lady on TV. And it was just people like, well, you didn't, and even on Twitter, I don't think she said your name wrong. It wasn't that serious. And I'm just like, we talking about my tone? Like, Black people are dying, but we talking about my tone, and also, she said my name wrong.
Okay. Your name is Kunta Kinte, not Toby. Let them know.
That part.
Okay.
You know, my name is my name. Did y'all not learn from The Wire? But, you know, if they didn't watch Kunta Kinte, like, did you at least watch The Wire? Like, come on. It's just agency. But I bring that up because we have the right to be mad.
Come on, Solange.
We should not have to be polite and forgiving and graceful when fighting for our rights. That part. Don't ask us for our grace when you're killing us.
Okay. Yes.
how do you both live in that moment where you know the rage is righteous, but also bring the harmony of joy?
I think that's something I'm still learning. My journey with joy, it still feels relatively new, and mainly because like I've never been someone who's shied away from the term angry black woman, because I'm like, yeah, are you saying that as if I'm not supposed to be? Hello, if you're not angry, you're the problem. Okay.
Say that again.
If you're not angry, you're the problem, okay? So I never shied away from being angry. I think for me, it was about harnessing it into something useful that could further my road to joy. Again, the arts was a part of that, because even just writing and performing in that song, it's like it's healing for me in a way that allows me to reclaim my joy. And being able to claim my experiences, we've never really had an opportunity to do that. You know, it's like, especially in this country, it was like one thing after the other: slavery, segregation, now the KKK, now this, now mass incarceration, now this, now this, now that, police brutality. There was never a moment to breathe. And every time we tried to be angry, every time we tried to express that, it was like, it's not as bad as it was. Every time. And white people reminded us in every step of the way that they were not racist. White people were never racist. Ever.
Okay. There's not a get the X-ray machine. There's not a racist bone in their body.
Never. Okay. Not even when owning slaves. They were never racist. So there's never an opportunity to embrace that. Like, okay, so my mother likes to watch a Jan Lavanzon, right? And
is she fixing lives though?
I don't know. I walked in and I saw a little snippet where she was talking to this, I think it was a daughter and the mother, and they were estranged. And the mother just wanted her to forgive and forget. And she said to the mother, like, no, you need to listen to what she's saying. Let her express her anger towards you, because you're not going to heal unless you can do that and take ownership for the pain that you've caused her. We've never done that. It was just like, okay, let's just skip this part and have parties together now. Fuck you. No. I don't even remember the question. What was the question?
I just wanted you to say, fuck you, above a whisper.
Right.
No, I mean, you answered it. It was about reconciling, making space to have our rage because it is righteous, but also creating harmony for joy. And something you said, which I think is important for us to talk about before we get into these audience questions, is we've never had the time. I've written about this a lot, how it's like supremacy is an ongoing fight. It's an ongoing system in which we are still in. And because of that, we have this fight. We're on fight mode all the time, survival mode all the time. So not only is it that we haven't always made time for joy, we haven't made time for respite, because it feels there's never time to rest. So there's this weariness, even as we're fighting for ourselves, even as we're making room for joy, there's this exhaustion. How do you make time to rest? Why is rest important?
I'm glad you asked that question, because I think for me, I had to understand the fact that the guilt I have over rest is about capitalism, which is connected to white supremacy culture. This idea that in order for me to be worthy, I have to go above and beyond to be the absolute best. Even when someone dies, were they a good student? Like, what type of person were they? So I know how much I should care, And I think being able to realize that aha moment, like, no, you're not going to guilt shame me from doing something I'm supposed to be doing to take care of myself. My ancestors didn't get to rest. So I'm going to take all the rest I want. Okay?
That part.
And they're looking at me smiling. You go ahead, lay down, girl. They looking at me. Yeah.
Lead by example. Lead by example. So as a professional question asker, I'm going to remix some of y'all questions because some of them have been touched on in the conversation and some of them are overlapping. It's very clear that your family supports you.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to the family. But we both know what it's like to be Black in Boston, Black in New England, and the perception of Blackness here.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, we here. You know, a quarter Black. Please stop playing with us.
Yep.
How supportive has the community been of your work, and why is the role of artivism so important in our city?
Well, I think the interesting thing is there were certain communities from jump that have always been supportive of my artistry. I think that there are also some who, in my opinion, coincidentally gained interest as it became a little bit more cool to be woke. And everything started happening with George Floyd, and then people were like, oh, we should care about racism now. Zakiyyah, you want to come perform? And I'm like, okay. I think there definitely needs to be more opportunities for artists of color to exist as they are and not feel like they have to beg for space, but also not feel like they're just tokens filling up space. I've had a few of those moments recently where I've asked to perform places, and it was very clear to me when I got there that I was literally just there for the visual effect. Look, we have this Black singer here to perform. Look at how inclusive we are, but they didn't treat me very well.
How did you navigate
scenes.
that?
Huh?
How did you navigate that tokenism?
Well, number one, I demanded more money. I did. I said, well, if you're going to do this, you're going to have to pay me a little bit more. And number two, I think what made me feel better about the situation is the type of content that I was performing anyway. They had only heard one or two of my songs. They didn't know I was about to come out there and be like rash on them. And so that kind of made me feel like, okay, this is good because you need to hear this. You need to hear what I'm saying. I don't know if they understood all the words, but I think perhaps if I was singing other material that didn't quite get there, I would probably feel a little bit more conflicted, but my music is right to the point. You don't miss what I'm saying unless you're trying to. So, yeah.
What is a daily mantra you use to kind of affirm yourself and your truth?
I am enough, and I am everything.
Woo!
That's it.
Where do you see your career in 5 years?
5 years. Oh, Lord.
They asking questions.
Ooh.
The iPad is popping.
Yeah, questions. Definitely still doing my arts activism full time. I have a production company as well, Black and Bold Productions. Right now, it just creates my music videos, which you guys seem to like so far. Yes, you can clap.
You can clap. Give her flowers.
And so I want to expand into other mediums of art, including visual media, to further enhance my messages. And also, I want to be global. Hello.
Yes.
Let's call it into existence.
Let's manifest this. Let's manifest
into
this.
existence.
When is your next album coming out?
My goal is Black History Month.
There we go.
So, fingers crossed that I can make that deadline. But yes.
Now we got to hold you accountable.
I know. Yeah.
No, but to your point about global, we had what I thought was a really great question from an audience member about travel and how that has inspired or influenced your artistry.
Yeah. So I love traveling. I've done a lot of traveling in my life. I think I probably became addicted to it in college. I studied abroad in Ghana, and I lived there for a few months. And I was like, wow, my world just like expanded. And you know, when you in Ghana, you know you in Ghana, right? Like you got chickens and goats walking around. I'm like, this is lit. People were walking with huge items on their head, and you try to copy them, don't do that because you might hurt yourself. But it was amazing. And so then from there, a couple years ago, I did a travel program, My Wander Year, and I traveled for a year, working with musicians, getting to know the music in 4 different countries, 3 months each Czech Republic, Thailand, South Africa, and Colombia. And I learned so much about the people there, the history, and the funny thing is, like, Black people are the same everywhere. You know, like, we have some differences here and there, but it's so funny because when I was in South Africa and Colombia, I hosted Black Lives Matter events to hear their experiences, and they're so similar, almost like the same. And I'm like, wow, this is amazing. And so I think even though a lot of my work is influenced by my experience here, I also know that I'm also talking to the diaspora. Yeah.
100%. Before we bring James up here to wrap up this beautiful evening, I would like to ask one last question. And we talked about all of your singing, your dancing, we didn't talk about your dance. We talked about your singing, your rapping, and your storytelling. But I want to talk about dance and the role. One of our question askers, you guys are very good, asked about how we carry our DNA with us, our history and our DNA. And when I watch you guys dance, of course, I thought about our story and our lineage. Can you talk about how we carry our history with us and also how we mirror each other? You get a bunch of Black people in the room, especially when you had everyone stand and start dancing, something happens, something very magical.
Yes.
So you talk about movement and also our history.
Yes, that is definitely in the blood. And one of the reasons I was so determined to have dance be a part of this performance, because, child, I have not danced in, we don't need to know. But I knew I had to have it in this because that's like, you can't have a theme like this and not include that, right? I think one of the things that's so beautiful about us as a people is that our culture is very relational, like, I don't mean to go there, but, whatever. So if you look at a lot of traditionally European art forms, it's like opera, classical ballet, like the emphasis, you stand there and you admire the talent. But it's like, historically, our culture has been about like, no, we're gonna engage each other, right? And that there's something so powerful about that engagement, that I can talk to you with my body. Not like that, but you know what I mean. And it's so amazing, it's so powerful. And I think whether you're in a Black church, whatever space you're in where there's sound, sometimes even when there's not sound, we're able to relate to each other in that way. And that's not gonna change. That's always gonna be there. Yeah.
Zakiyyah, you are crowned, you are beautiful. Thank you for being in community with me tonight. Thank all of you for being in community with us tonight. I am you are me, we are we. Let's bring up OG James.
Oh, wait, can I say one thing?
You can say all of the things.
Where's the 80? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Yadi. Happy birthday to you.
No, we not done. It's too many Black people in here not to sing the Stevie Wonder version right quick. Let's go.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.
And now, OG James, please come to the stage.
Let's keep it going for these two amazing, amazing humans and women and artists. Jeneé, thank you for, again, being with us for another amazing conversation. And Zakiyyah, we made it here. It's just been such an amazing honor to get to work with you, and I adore you, and I can't wait for the future. Thank you to all of our amazing performers tonight and our crew who made all of this happen, so thank you so much. And thank you to all of you, both here on site and watching from afar, for joining us. We hope you will continue to do so. Check out the rest of our lineup and join us. Let's say goodnight to our virtual friends.
Good night, virtual friends.
And now that they are wrapped, all of you, please join us downstairs for a reception. Make sure that you keep those masks on, except when actively eating and drinking some of the treats down there. And especially when our artists are walking around and chatting with you, please keep them on. But we'll see you down there. And thank you again so much for being here.
As we go a little something like this.